Welcome to this week's Hebrew class. I hope you find these classes useful in your pursuit of the basic Hebrew. And so we begin our lesson, and today's lesson will be from Yehuchanan or John chapter 4, and we'll cover verses 22 to 25. So let us begin. And firstly, as we do each week, we have the Nikud, the vowel markings, and an example of them for anyone who's relatively new. And also we have these great resources, which I truly hope you look at because they can help you a lot in practicing, since they give you transliteration, even color-coded translations and so on. So it's very good. So let us begin. And as you can see, we're in 22, and it's represented by a calf and a vet, which is 20 and a 2, meaning we're in 22. And then we go through the letters. Aleph, Tav, Mem, Sofit. Mem, Shin, Tav, Chet, Vav, Yod, Mem, Sofit. Aleph, Lamed, Ashir, Shin, Resh, Lamed, Aleph, Yod, Dalet, Ayin, Tav, Mem, Sofit. Just some mentioning. When we see a closed Mem, Sofit, we know it's at the end of a word, and that's why it's different than a normal Mem, which we find here. And also because this is in white, and that's in white, it tells us it's not pronounced. So let us begin. Atem. It means you, but it doesn't mean you as in singular, it's a plural you. Mishtachavim. Worship. Right? If we look down here, we've got mishtachav. As a noun, it means to prostrate as in worship. And then we have el, which is to, asher. It can be what. Asher can be that, what. It can even be who or whom. So to what? Lo, not. Yedatem. Again, the plural you at the end. You know. And we know that yada, according to here, is a kol verb. To know, to be aware, to recognize. So to know. So you know. So you worship what you do not know. So we're talking about Yeshua with the woman at the well. So when he's saying you, it's not singular you, he's talking about you people in a sense. Right? So now we turn and we read it. Atem mish tachavim el asher lo yedatem. And again, the translation, you worship to what not you know. And so we come to part B, and we have a Vav, an Aleph, a Nun, a Chet, a Nun, a Vav, a Mem, Shin, Tav, Chet, Vav, Yod, Mem, Sofit, Aleph, Lamed, Aleph, Shin, Resh, Yod, Dalet, Ayin, Nun, Vav. And we read it. Va, nach, nu, and we. Mish, ta, chavim, worship. El, to, ashir, what. Yada, nu, we know. Again, the nu is the pronoun on the end. And the English, but we worship what we know. So now we read it. Va'anachnu mishtachavim el asher yadanu. And we worship to what we know. And now we come to part C of 22. We have a kaf, a yod, hey yod, shin, vav, ayin, hey, mem, nun sofit, nun at the end of a word, hey yod, hey vav, dalet yod, mem sofit, hey yod, aleph. And we read it. Ki, for, Yeshua, the salvation, min, from, Yehudim, the Jews. He, it is, for the salvation from the Yehudim, it is. So the normal translation, we worship what we know from the previous, for salvation is from the Jews. And I've given you Yeshua. It's a feminine noun. It means salvation, help, rescue. And I've given you he, which is a feminine pronoun, which can mean she, it can mean it, or it can even mean is, or it is, or she is, as it shows there. And so now we read that. Ki ha-Yeshua min ha-Yahudim he. For the salvation from the Yehudim it is. And 23. Kaf is 20, Gimel is 3, the third letter of the alphabet. And then we have an Aleph, Vav, Lamed, Mem Safit. Ta, Vet, Vav, Aleph. Shin, Ayin, Hey, Vav, Ayin, Tav, Hey, Hey, Yod, Aleph, Aleph. Shin, Resh, Ayin, Vet, Dalet, Yod. So now let's read it. Ulam, Ulam. Now let's have a look. Ulam, in this case, it's a conjunction, because it also has other meanings as a noun and so on. But as a conjunction, it means however, but nevertheless. So I've used however. Tavo, which is it shall come. There's no pronoun there, so it could be he, but it's sort of like a feminine beginning, so it shall come. And then we have sha'a, meaning an hour. Ve'ata, and now. He, it is. This time I'm using it is. Asher, that, of day, servants of. And it's a construct form. So if we look down here, he again means she, it, she is, or it is. Avad is a kal verb to work, to function, literally to serve. And eved as a masculine noun means slave or servant. So we can sort of see where it comes from. Servants of. And the English is salvation is from the Jews. However, an hour shall come, and now is, when servants. And so we can read that. Ulam tavo sha'a ve'ata he asher of day. However, it shall come an hour, and now it is, that servants of. And then we turn to 23b, and we have an Aleph, a Lamed, a Hey, Aleph, Mem, Tav, Yod, Mem, Safit. Yod, Shin, Tav, Chet, Vav, Vav. Lamed, Aleph, Vayet, Bayet, Resh, Vav, Chet. Vav, Vayet, Aleph, Mem, and Tav. And we read, El. Well, El, of course, means Elohim. Ha-amitim. Ha-amitim. The true ones. Because we're dealing with these here. Yishtachavu. They shall worship. Again, the last one is the pronoun. But this verb belongs to the root here. So they shall worship. La'av, meaning to the Father, of being Father. Be'ruach, in spirit. U ve'emet, and in truth. If we look down here, emet is a feminine noun meaning truth, righteousness, or justice. And emet is a PL verb, which means to verify, to prove right, to confirm. Just so we see the different meanings based on the grammar, sort of, whether it's a verb or a noun. And of course, we've got hishtachava, which is a verb to bow down, to prostrate, to worship. And hit palel is also a verb to worship, to praise, to pray. Because we know palel comes from the verb to pray, right? So I just threw that in just so that you can see that it can be used also in the term of being to worship or to pray. And the English says, servants of Elohim who are true shall worship the Father in spirit and truth. And so we read, El ha'amitim yish tachavu la'av be'ruach u ve'emet. Elohim, the true ones, they shall worship to the Father in spirit and in truth. So, of course, this one is not referring to Elohim, it's referring to servants. The true servants, we could say, right? And so, now we can turn to 23c. And we again have a kaf, yod. Bet mem shin tav chet vav yod mem savit kav aleph lamed hey chet fei zadisofit hey aleph veit. Ki for bet mish tachavim in worshippers. Ka ele, like these, with a kaf meaning like. Chafetz, desires. And then we finish with ha'av, the Father. So if we look down here, ele is a pronoun. It can mean these or those. And chafetz is a masculine noun. In a literary sense, it means desire, want, or wish. And chafetz, as a kol verb, is a flowery way to say to want, to be interested in, or to desire. So now we can read that. Ki be mish tachavim ka ele chafetz ha'av. For in worshippers like these desires the Father. And now we have 24a, and we have a kaf, which is a value of 20, and a dalet, which has a value of 4, because it's the fourth letter of the alphabet. Then the letters. Hey aleph lamed, hey yod mem safit, resh vav chet, hey vav aleph, vav, hey mem shin tav chet vav yod mem safit lamed vav. So we read, Ha-Elohim, the Elohim, Ruach, Spirit, who he is, the Ha-Mish-Tachavim, and the ones bowing down in worship. In other words, the ones worshipping, right? Lo, to him. So therefore we get the Elohim is spirit, and those who worship him. So now we can read that. Ha-Elohim, Ruach, who, ve'ha-mish-tachavim, lo. The Elohim spirit hears, and the ones bowing down in worship to him. And then we get 24b, we have a Zade, Resh, Yod, Kaf, Yod, Mem Safit, Lamed, He, Shin, Tav, Chet, Vav, Tav, Bet, Resh, Vav, Chet, Vav, Vet, Aleph, Mem, Tav. Now let's read it. Serikim, Serikim. And I added R, but because the root word Zerakim, right? If we look down here, Zarik as an adjective means necessary, important, essential, require. So therefore we know it means to be required or it's essential. Are required. Lehish ta cha vot, to worship. And it's like a hifil because we have this here. Hifil meaning it's caused to do, right? A causative form. So it's to worship. Now why is it not just ot on the end? It's actually vot. And that doesn't occur often, but sometimes it does. So it's just something to remember, and you'll get used to it when it happens. And then we have beruach, in spirit, u ve'emet, and in truth. So the translation, those who worship him must worship with spirit and with truth. So now we can read it. Zerikim lehish tachavot beruach u ve'emet, are required to worship in spirit and in truth. And so we have 25 now, represented with a kaf and a hey. So that's 20, and hey is the fifth letter of the alphabet. So we got 25. And then we have vav, tav, aleph, mem, resh, aleph, lamed, yod, vav, hey, aleph, shin, hey, yod, dalet, ayin, tav, yod, kaf, yod, yod, vet, aleph. And we read it. Vatomer. Vatomer, and she said. How do we know it's she? Because the tav often is used as a feminine form, but it's also an imperfect form. But with a vav in front of it, the basic rule is it makes it a perfect form. And she said, not she will say, she said, Elev, to him, ha-isha, meaning the woman, yada ti, I know. The T is I. Ki, that, yavo, he shall come. So the woman said to him, I know that he shall come. And so now we can read it. Vato mer, elev, ha-isha, yadati, ki, yavo. And she said to him, the woman, I know that he shall come. And now we come to part B of 25, where we have a hey, mem, shin, yod, chet. A shir, aleph, shin, resh. Yod, kuf, resh, aleph. Lamed, vav, kaf, resh, yod, samek, tet, vav, and samek. So we read it. Ha-ma-shiach. The Messiah. And this is one of the few times, only when you go to patach, do you say the vowel before the letter rather than after it, as with the other ones. Asher, who, yikare, shall be called, lo, for him, keris, tos, Christ. Now, I noticed here that in the scriptures there's a bracket around these, which seem to suggest that it doesn't appear in the original. It looks like it's been added, right? So I know that shall come the Messiah who shall be called Christ. So we have firstly mashach, which is a kol verb, to anoint, to rub with oil. And then we have mishcha, which as a feminine noun, it means literally cream or ointment or spread or paste. Just so you understand what the term Mashiach actually means. It means the one that's been anointed, right? Of course, the anointed one. And we read it. Ha-Mashiach asher yikarei lo keristos. The Messiah who shall be called for him Christ. And part C, we have a Hey, Vav, Aleph, Yod, Ved, Vav, Aleph, Vav, Yod, Gimel, Yod, Dalet, Lamed, Nun, Vav, Aleph, Tav, Kaf, Lamed. And we read it, who, which usually means he. Yavo shall come, so he shall come, right? Ve'yagid, and shall tell. Now, if we looked at it, higid is a verb to tell, to inform, to say. And that's where it comes from. But of course, the hay's dropped off, right? So in this form, and if we look, it is an imperfect because we have a shava under the vav, which means it doesn't reverse the tense. So it becomes shall tell. Lanu, to us, et, grammar marker, kol, all. Naturally, it means like everything as well. If we looked at it, kol as a prep means all, everything, the whole, the entire. So he, the Messiah, shall come and tell us all things. That's the translation. So now we read it. Who? Yavo. Ve'yagid lanu et kol. He shall come and shall tell, you could even put, and he shall tell, to us, grammar marker, all. And now we've already come to the revision of those verses. So let's see how we go. So we have a kaf, we know that's a value of 20, and a ve at the second letter of the alphabet, so we're in 22. Atem, you, plural you. Mishtachavim, worship. L2, asher, what, lo, not, yadatem, you know. You worship to what not you know. Va'anachnu, and we, mishtachavim, worship, L2, asher, what, yadanu, we know. And we worship to what we know. Key for Yeshua, the salvation, min, from HaYehudim, he, it is. So the structure is a little bit different than the English. The is comes actually at the end. For the salvation from the Yehudim it is. And then we have Kaf 20, Gimel 3. And this is silent, so it's Ulam. However, Tavo, it shall come. Sha'a, an hour. Ve'ata, and now. He, it is. Asher, that. Of day, servants of, a construct form. However, it shall come an hour, and now it is, that servants of El, or Elohim, ha-amitim, the true ones, yishtachavu, they shall worship, la'av, to the Father, be'ruach, in spirit, u ve'emet, and in truth. El, the true ones, they shall worship to the Father in spirit and in truth. Ki, for, be'mishtachavim, in worshippers, ka'ele, like these, chafetz, he desires, ha'av, the Father. For in worshippers like these, and when there's no, of course, pronoun, you can say he desires, the Father. And then we come to Kaf and Dalet, 20 and 4 and 24. Ha-Elohim, the Elohim, Ruach, spirit, who he is. Ve'ha-mish-tachavim, and the worshippers, the ones bowing down to worship, lo, to him, the Elohim spirit he is, and the ones bowing down in worship to him, Serikim, are required, lehishtachavat, to worship, be'ruach, in spirit, u ve'emet, and in truth, are required to worship in spirit and in truth. And then we have a Kaf, 20, Hey, 5, the fifth letter. So we got 25. Vatomer, and she said, Elev, unto him or to him, Ha-isha, the woman, Yadati, I know, ki, that, Yavo, he shall come. And she said to him, the woman, I know that he shall come. And now we have 25b. Ha-Mashiach, the Messiah, Asher, who, Yikareh, shall be called, he shall be called, lo, to him, or for him, Keristos, Christ. The Messiah, who shall be called for him, Christ. Who, he, Yavo, he shall come, ve'yagid, and he shall tell, lanu, to us, et kol, all, grammar marker all. He shall come and shall tell to us, grammar marker, all or everything. And now we come to, again, the vowel markings to refresh us, to make sure that we're fully aware of the use of the vowel markings. We have a kamatz. Now, just as the name sounds, kamatz, it sounds like a longer A sound, ka. And then we have patak, that's a shorter A sound. And we have zere, so the E sound is long. And then we have segol, which is short. And we have shava. And that's your syllable break in the word. And sometimes the letter with the shava could have a short E sound, but only short. But other times it has no sound, because it's the end of the syllable rather than like the beginning of one. And so we have also cholam, and as you can hear, that's the O sound, cho. And then we have shuruk, which is a short U sound, and then we have kubutz, which is a longer U sound. Then we have kataf segol, where we have a shava followed by a segol, which is your short E. And then we have Chirik, that's the I sound. Kataf, patak, short A after the break in syllable. And then we have kataf, kamats, a longer A sound. And then finally, we come again to the resources, and I do really encourage you to use them. And we have now our letters and what their values are. So we'll just have a look at a few of them. Mem is 40, of course. Nun is 50. Samek is 60. Ayin is 70. Pei or Fei is 80, and Zade is 90, and Kuf is 100, Resh is 200, Shin is 300, Tav is 400. And these are the ones we probably don't use much, so I just like to remind you of the values of those. And of course, we have all the usual ones, which we use more often. So, I want to thank you for joining us in this lesson, and we do pray you are blessed by them, that you do get inspired by seeing that it's not impossible to learn the Hebrew, and it does give us better understanding of Scripture, and we can see what translations say, how accurate they are, the words they use to translate. In a sense, that's why we learn the Hebrew, so we can accurately translate. So I want to wish you a Shavua Tov, a good week, a good 7 in Yeshua, our Master and our King and our Redeemer and our Elohim. Amen.